everyone, I am Anthropomantic Fiend, and I do horror-related things on the internet. Yes, I have a cat above my head. That has nothing to do with anything, except that he's saying stuff. Last time I did one of these recommendation videos, I showed off my collection of just general horror, what am I looking for? Informational horror books. It's literally the title of the video. I'm gonna do 2 more videos, at least. I don't really think I have anything else in my collection that I need to talk about, but I've got my collection of Tim Burton books that I'm gonna do in this video, and then I'm gonna do another video just for vampire books. Yeah, I have like 4 ghost books. I'm just gonna get those out of the way right now because they're literally on the shelf next to me and I can just show them here. Who's Haunting the White House? It's about ghosts in the White House. This isn't even an informational book. It's classic ghost stories. It's got lots of really good authors in it. Scary Stories of Mammoth Cave. This isn't all ghost stories, but it's just generally scary stories from Mammoth Cave National Park. And I got this when I went there. This is a good book. I haven't read it in forever, but it's a good one. This thing that I got forever and ever ago when I was in elementary school at like a Scholastic book fair is this little thing, which surprisingly has a lot of good information in it. I probably have other books on that topic lurking somewhere, but I just thought I'd get that out of the way. Now on to the Tim Burton, which is what I'm really interested in showing you, because I have more of it. Things you think about in a bar, aka the napkin art of Tim Burton. This is literally just drawings that Tim Burton has done on napkins over the course of time. Balloon Boy kills a whole group of children. I like those. And it even comes with a little foreword by Tim Burton with a little blank space for you to draw your own art. Which I'm probably never gonna touch because I don't want to mess it up. When you give somebody like a special thing to draw something in, especially when you're invited to do so by Tim Burton, you really don't want to mess it up. I have actually had, probably still have somewhere, a sketchbook that looks like the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice. I've done like 5 drawings in there and then stopped because I just didn't want to mess it up. The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories. I have 2 copies of this because why not? I had one that I ordered myself for my birthday one year, one that a friend gave me, and I've never bothered giving it away because I'm a Tim Burton hoarder. He's like my favorite director, although he's starting to tie with Guillermo del Toro these days. These are just little poems by Tim Burton, just little funny, but still in some ways super depressing stories. There's Stain Boy. The Oyster Boy story in particular is particularly depressing. He gets, spoiler alert, eaten by his parents. These are all very fun. Roy the Toxic Boy playing with his can of aerosol spray. Should give you an idea of what these are. They're a lot of fun. Now we're into more of the actual informational books with Gothic Fantasy, the films of Tim Burton. I have not actually read this whole thing yet, although I intend to fairly soon. This is a fairly in-depth look at most of Tim Burton's movies, starting at the beginning, running through Corpse Bride, I think. Let me check what all the chapters are. Well, that's kind of stupid. They don't have it. They've got everything from Beetlejuice to Corpse Bride, and they neglected to do Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is actually his first movie. What the heck, guys? And yet they've included The Nightmare Before Christmas, which Henry Selick directed that movie, and it makes me mad when people think Tim Burton directed it, even though it is his story and his art vision and everything. Henry Selick directed that movie. And they know that, but apparently they don't know that Pee-wee's Big Adventure exists. Still, I think this is definitely going to be worth the read, so I will be reading this soon. Maybe I'll review it, I don't know, but Gothic Fantasy, the films of Tim Burton. And despite what I just said about Henry Selick and stuff, I've got this little book, which is The 13 Days of Christmas. It's a creepy riff on 12 Days of Christmas done for Disney's Haunted Mansion holiday ride thing that they do with The Nightmare Before Christmas. I haven't actually been there yet. I want to go to Disneyland simply because I just want to go to the Haunted Mansion, mostly. Although there are other fun things there, that's mostly what I want to do. But this is a fun little book with some nice drawings in it. This is a nice one. This is the Tim Burton Encyclopedia. This thing, I got this Christmas of 2015, so I think this one stops at either like Alice in Wonderland, where this thing goes like up to Dark Shadows and Frankenweenie era stuff. I think it stops before Big Eyes came out. Let me check. Yeah, I don't know, but starting with all of his early stuff, including like all of his short films, everything he worked with at Disney, right down to, you know, he did some animation work on Fox and the Hound, which he said looked like roadkill. This has an entry for Fox and the Hound, both the movie and the book. It does the same thing for the Black Cauldron that he did concept art for that never got used. This thing goes that deep into everything from the very beginning, down to like Super 8 home movies that he did for fun, right up to Dark Shadows and Frankenweenie. I forget what year those came out, but this is a nice little comprehensive volume. Masters of Cinema, Tim Burton. This is an interesting one. I believe this was translated from French, but this one goes from the beginning of his career through to Alice in Wonderland, and it's just a little sort of this guy's take on the meanings behind a lot of what goes on in all of the Tim Burton movies. It talks about the making, but also just a lot of the qualities of the film and sort of trying to interpret some of those things. And it's also got little articles on different movies by different people. There's one on Johnny Depp. There's Melancholy Death of a Oyster Boy, again, with some corpse bride, but this is a good one. Not essential, but good. This one, I think, is essential. This is Burton on Burton, which is comprised of things from interviews with Tim Burton. Let me see what it says here. This updated and fully illustrated new edition of the definitive Burton interview book casts lights on Burton's Burbank childhood, his early work at Disney, the recurrent themes and stunning designs of his movies, and the creative obsessions that fueled them. And this one goes up to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's shortening as I go, but this has got some great artwork of his in it, and just all kinds of wonderful insights that the guy has just straight from his mouth about everything. I haven't read this in a long time. I need to go back to all of these books because I've sort of drifted away from Tim Burton for a while, but sometimes I just need to come back to him because him and his movies are my comfort food, more or less. And now we come along to The Nightmare Before Christmas, the film, The Art, the Vision. I'm gonna stop screaming about this being a Henry Selick movie because Tim Burton did have a lot of input into this. This book is definitely essential if you're a Nightmare Before Christmas, a hardcore Nightmare Before Christmas fan, because it literally is the film, the art, and the vision. Because you've got a little foreword with some nice bits of artwork and things about the creation of the movie. Just really lovely pictures in this thing. And then it is straight up the film. It is the actual, more or less, the script for the film, or at least all of the songs. Let me see if it is not the entire script, but it's all of the song lyrics with little sort of asides and like profiles on all the characters and things in it, combined with all of the conceptual art and things. And it goes more into the making of the movie later, right down to you've got the film, which is pretty much diving into the characters and the lyrics of the songs. You've got the art, which is all about the conceptual art and envisioning the characters, and then the vision, which talks about more the making of the movie and like the construction of the models, and this is wonderfully in depth. I love this book. What that book is to Night Before Christmas, this book is to Sweeney Todd. It's got just extracts from the screenplay in it, if I can find them real quick. Here's a little bit of that. But yeah, just a great informational book on that with all kinds of just gorgeous images in it. One of my favorite pictures of Sweeney that Tim Burton drew, just because of how splattery the whole thing is. This is really good as well. The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is Tim Burton's original poem. My copy of this book is extremely beat up. It's literally his original poem, accompanied by Tim Burton's artwork in children's book format. I read this every Christmas Eve just by myself because I am a little kid. I'm 17 years old, but I read this book every Christmas Eve because I love it. This is good, obviously. And then there is this thing. This is my pride and joy. This is the art of Tim Burton. We've come full circle because, if I can find it, the napkin art is the companion piece to this monstrous thing. But this book is wonderful. It's got written contributions by people including Rick Baker, Helena Bonham Carter, Felicity Dahl, which is the widow of Roald Dahl, who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Johnny Depp, Danny DeVito, Danny Elfman, Ray Harryhausen, Rick Heinrichs, who worked on a lot of the design of the movies with Tim Burton, Martin Landau, Christopher Lee, Victoria Price, who's Vincent Price's daughter, Paul Rubens, who is Pee Wee Herman, Deep Roy, who is in Corpse Bride, as well as in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, all of the Oompa Loompas. Yes, all of them. And Winona Ryder, among a bunch of others. That is an anti-littering ad that Tim Burton did when he was I don't know how many years old. There's just so much good stuff in this book. I'm not going to spoil it for you, mostly because this book is really heavy and I don't want to keep holding it up. But that is my collection of Tim Burton books. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you go and check out some of these books and go back and watch some Tim Burton movies because they're good. Thanks for watching.